going on, everybody? Welcome to a new video. Today I would like to make a video about a request that I received in a comment of a previous video, and this was to be more specific with tips for people who are doing their first IRONMAN 70.3, and that is exactly what I'm going to do in this video. I made a huge video that had a lot of information in it, but I'm going to try and unpack some of the things further. And in this video it's going to be the thing that I believe helped me the most during my first IRONMAN 70.3, and that was how to pace the bike in your first IRONMAN 70.3. So why is pacing on the bike so important? Because the bike is the longest section of the race. In any triathlon, the bike is the longest section of the race, and it is very energy consuming. So being out on the bike 2 hours and a half, 3 hours, or even 6 hours in the full distance can be very taxing on the body depending on the intensity that we approach it with. So there are a lot of ways to figuring out the intensity that we want to hold and that we can hold. And I'm going to explain 3 ways that you can do it. And one way I do not recommend, the other 2 are fairly valid and I use them personally. So the first way to pace your IRONMAN 70.3 bike would be through perceived exertion. Perceived exertion means that we listen to our body and we see how we feel, and depending on how we feel, knowing if we can push a little bit more or we need to back off. And this way of pacing can have its benefits and it can work, but I feel that in a race that is 5 hours long total, it can be very prone to leading us a little bit maybe where we don't want to go and overdoing it on the bike. So perceived exertion means we don't have anything to rely our metrics on. So we don't have a watch, we don't have HR, we don't have anything. I personally do not recommend this method. I would at least opt for the second way you can pace your IRONMAN 70.3 bike, and that is through heart rate. So this is personally how I trained and how I did my first 70.3, and I quickly figured out, also through the help of a friend, that the bike was crucially important in order to have a great run afterwards. So I needed to understand what was the threshold I could hold with my heart rate without dying and not being able to run afterwards for 90 kilometers, so 2 hours and a half. And I established this threshold during training. So I would go out, train, do brick sessions, relying only on heart rate. And after doing 2 or 3, I quickly came to realize that my top heart rate, the heart rate that I didn't want to go above during the race, was going to be around 145 beats per minute. This is a totally subjective value, so everybody's value is different. This is just, in my case, it was 145 beats per minute. So completely aerobic zone, like top of zone 2, but not above, because above could risk getting too taxing on the body and leading to a poor run. So I tested this heart rate strategy in training, and I approached the race this way, with an HR strap and HR metric on the front. I was good to go, basically. And it panned out really well in my case. So I stuck to the heart rate zones that I had told myself that I should follow, and it absolutely set me up for a really good run in my experience, because I managed to not overdo it on the bike. Also, I think because I hit some rain, so I had to slow down, and that maybe gave me some time to recover. Maybe in that moment, the rain, I thought it was something bad, but it actually gave me maybe 10 minutes to recover a bit and keep the heart rate even a bit lower in order to then hammer it on the run. On the run, it was all out upper zone 4, so it's very taxing on the body, and having a good bike is something that can really help in having a good run. And now the third method, that is the one that I recommend today, that I am doing right now both in training and I will be doing in racing, is with a power meter. So gauging your target race intensity with a power meter, and especially with intensity factor. So a power meter is a really incredible tool that can give us insights on what power we are outputting. So we can have a clear picture of what power we can hold for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours. And this power, especially in a IRONMAN 70.3 and IRONMAN distance race, is fairly established in something that is called intensity factor. So intensity factor is the ratio between the power we are outputting and our FTP, our functional threshold power. So an intensity factor of 1 would be our max power for 1 hour. If we're doing an intensity factor of 0.6, it means we are outputting a lower power that we can hold for more than 1 hour. And there are many target race intensities on different calculators online, like in Training Peaks or on Active. There are a million different resources on this. And what they say is, if you want to do this race, let's say Ironman 70.3, hold this intensity factor. So intensity factor plays into managing your race effort with, there's a lot of different tables, references and formulas online you can find. The one I used basically said that for Ironman 70.3 bike split, you should aim between an intensity factor of 0.75 and 0.85. And within this range, within the range of 0.75 and 0.85, this means that if you are staying on the lower side, you are risking less. So maybe your time will be a bit longer, but you are risking less of getting overtaxed and not be able to run. If you're pushing it, if you're doing 0.85, which is maybe a value that the pros are doing, that way you are risking way more, and maybe on the run you might blow up. Whereas for a full distance, it would be between 0.65 and 0.80. 0.65 is a conservative approach, which maybe in the first one was a sound option. Also in the 70.3, I believe that staying on the safer side is way better than then blowing up on the run. That would be like a really bad experience. Whereas the top end is really pushing it, especially in a full distance Ironman. 0.8 is like crazy. I think it's a crazy value, at least in my opinion for now. So in training, what I would do would be to do specific brick sessions at different intensity factors and see how they play out on the run. This is completely anecdotal and I think it's personal to everybody, but it's really worth trying and testing it out, because maybe being a little bit more conservative on the bike can lead to running really well off it. So yeah, those are the 3 ways you can pace your Ironman 70.3 and Ironman bike. I believe it is truly the key to having a great race, because if you nail the bike, the run will take care of itself, and it can really help to use some metrics to pace this leg of the race. So let me know what you think. These are the ways that I basically progressively used over my brief little history in triathlon, and right now I'm sticking with intensity factor and heart rate, but mostly intensity factor. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please leave a like and maybe consider subscribing to the channel, and I will catch you in the next video.